munaya swadrishtya ye sancharanti avihata vigata bhishanka. Second, I have the wrong. I have the wrong synonyms on my slide, so I'll be sharing my screen again. Dwari etayornibhivishurmisator aprishtva purva yatha purata vajrakapitakaya sarvatra te vishamaya munaya swadrishtya ye sancharanti avihata vigata bhiksankha. Dwari, in the door, etayo, both doorkeepers, Nivivishu, entered, Misato, while seeing, Aprishtva, without asking, Purva, as before, Yatha, as, Purata, made of gold, Vajra, and diamond, Kapatika, the doors, Ya, which, Sarvatra, everywhere, they, Avishamaya, without any sense of discrimination. Munaya, the great sages, Swadrishtya, out of their own will, Ye, who, Sancharanti, move, Avihata, without being checked, Vigata, without, Abhishanka, doubt. Translation. The great sages, headed by Sanaka, had open doors everywhere. They had no idea of ours and theirs. With open minds, they entered the seventh door out of their own will, just as they had passed through the 6 other doors, which were made of gold and diamonds. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The great sages, namely Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kupara, although very old in years, maintained themselves eternally as small children. They were not at all duplicitous, and they entered the doors exactly as little children enter places without any idea of what it is to trespass. That is a child's nature. A child can enter any place, and no one checks him. Indeed, a child is generally welcome in his attempts to go places. But if it so happens that a child is checked from entering a door, he naturally becomes very sorry and angry. That is the nature of a child. In this case, the same thing happened. The childlike saintly personalities entered all the 6 doors of the palace, and no one checked them. Therefore, when they attempted to enter the 7th door and were forbidden by the doormen, who checked them with their sticks, they naturally became very angry and sorrowful. An ordinary child would cry, but because these were not ordinary children, they immediately made preparations to punish the doorman, for the doorman had committed a great offense. Even to this day, a saintly person is never checked from entering anyone's door in India. So, some prayers for my own purification. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathamritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribol, dear devotees, thank you so much for joining me, joining all of us in continuing to read a little bit of Srimad Bhagavatam today together. I'm really excited and excited to read with all of you and discuss with all of you the story of how the four Kumaras were stopped by Jaya and Vijaya. So the Advent story of Jaya and Vijaya's three incarnations of all of these pastimes begins with this one seed of a moment. And I think that there are so many beautiful things to receive out of these next few verses. And particularly, I know we all know this story of how Jaya and Vijaya were cursed by the sages and how they later became the adversaries of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But I think today it would be interesting to take a very minute magnifying glass and take a look at the character of the four Kumaras, which is described in this verse. So just to set the scene, here we have the four Kumaras, and they're headed by Sanaka, and they are great devotees of the Lord. We'll start there. They're very great devotees of the Lord, and they are very excited to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha. And there are 8 doors of separation, 7 doors of separation between them and their Lord. And so they're trying to enter these 7 doors, and they go through one door and they feel like even more excited. The second door, they feel even more excited. Third door, they feel even more excited. Fourth door, fifth door, sixth door. And so 7th door, they pass through, and there's one more door left. So you can imagine the excitement with each door, how the four Kumaras are so excited to see their lordships. So we can understand that this is the mood of the four Kumaras as they're just one more door away from seeing their lordships, Sri Lakshmi and Vishnu. So they're incredibly excited to see the Lord. And we're at this very climactic moment where the four Kumaras will finally get the darshan of their most beloved Lord. This is the perfection of their life, just to get this one darshan, this one viewing, this one personal audience with the Lord. It will be the perfection of their life. And so we can imagine the excitement of this moment, the enthusiasm of this moment for the four Kumaras. We're passing through all of these doors, the 8 gates, to get to the final door. and to see their Lord. So we can imagine how climactic this moment is. And so with this excitement, with this childlike excitement, they're now being stopped by the four Kumaras. I mean, they will be stopped by the four Kumaras. We have not gotten there yet. So I wanted to set the theme of because I know I also sometimes have asked this question, like, the four Kumaras are such great devotees, but why are they getting angry, and why are they feeling upset, and why are they cursing Jaya and Vijay, the great doorman of Lord Vishnu? And I have yet to hear from everyone in the next few days of how how Srila Prabhupada and how they have come to this understanding that whatever they did was out of their own good heart. But what I'm also understanding is that this is a very climactic moment, and they're feeling so much excitement, and to be stopped at that kind of place is very tough. And being great devotees, they also have the purest of emotions, the deepest of emotions. So they're feeling great sorrow upon not seeing their beloved Lord. And so this curse that becomes a blessing follows. But today's discussion mainly is, I wanted to focus on the character of the four Kumaras because it's so beautifully illustrated in this verse. I'll read the translation and a few sentences from the purport just to revise. The great sages headed by Sanaka had opened doors everywhere. They had no idea of ours and theirs. With open minds, they entered the seventh door out of their own will, just as they had passed through the 6 other doors, which were made of gold and diamonds. So the great sages had opened doors everywhere. So everywhere they went, they opened doors. I'm not sure if you've also seen young children, they're very prone to doing that. They'll go and open a door, and maybe even the pujari door, maybe even the kitchen door of the daily kitchen. You'll see some kids hanging around because they're naturally curious. They have no idea of ours and theirs. With open minds. So they have open minds, they have no idea of ours and theirs, and they're very curious. They were not at all duplicitous, and they entered the doors exactly as little children enter places without any idea to trespass. Indeed, a child is generally welcome in his attempts to go places. So I found this really interesting, this observation of Srila Prabhupada, which we also see today. A child is generally welcome in his attempts to go places. You'll see children walking around in our temple like it's their place because they don't have any idea of ours and theirs. So walk around, go look around the kitchen, look around everywhere. Sometimes they'll even walk up to the altar. So children, because they're not duplicitous, because we know in their heart they don't have any malintent, they're generally welcome everywhere. So I think this is my favorite quality, and in children that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning is how they're not duplicitous, because as we grow older, this idea that we need to present ourselves in such a way towards society, we need to towards our community, towards our family, as a good devotee, as a good daughter, as a good student. We need to present ourselves in so many, we need to package ourselves in so many different ways. This is not as present in small children. And so generally, a child is welcome everywhere because we know in our heart that a child has no malintent. A child is not showing one thing and being something else. So these are also qualities of amazing devotees we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many examples of amazing devotees. We have Dhruva Maharaj, we have Prahlad Maharaj, we have the 4 Kumaras. Who else do we have? If there's any other, please, if there's any other devotee children from the Srimad Bhagavatam that I'm missing, please let me know. And one other devotee child that I would like to talk about is our dear Lord Chaitanya, and how they all display these qualities of great devotees through their childlike nature. So children have no idea of ours and theirs. They have an open mind and they are not duplicitous. These are the qualities that make children the best of devotees. And we see that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Chapter after chapter, we see an example of a devotee as a child. Okay. So they're not duplicitous. They have an open mind, and they have no idea of ours and theirs. So let's take a look at these three qualities Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport and in the translation that makes childlike devotees the best devotees, or children the best of devotees. And I know some of you are parents, so I hope this is an affirmation to the curiosity of our CNJ children and their non-duplicit nature. Okay, they're not duplicit. The first example I was thinking of when I was saying, oh, they're not duplicit, what does that really mean? I was thinking of an anti-example of duplicit, but not duplicit. I was thinking Prahlad Maharaj. And I love this example so much because Prahlad Maharaj, he had an incredibly adverse father towards his spiritual life. We see this over and over and over again, even today, where a child will have a very deep spiritual life, a very deep spiritual longing for God, and their parents will be absolutely averse to it. And Hiranyakashipu was no different. He was incredibly averse to the idea of God. He was incredibly atheistic. He was the very far end of an abusive atheistic father, very far end of that spectrum. And what does Prahlad Maharaj do when Hiranyakashipu asks him, what is your favorite thing that you've learned in school that you'd like to share with me, my son? He sits him on his lap, gives him so much love. So naturally, one would think, oh, Prahlad Maharaj, say something that will make your father love you more. That's also a childlike quality, right? To want the affection of your parents. But here, this childlike quality of Prahlad Maharaj being so non-duplicit, so pure in intent, so how can I say, so pure, that there's no other thing that he would like to say besides the truth of what he's really feeling. He says, my dear father, the one thing I have learned that I love the most is that the goal of life is to love God and to love all of God's sons and daughters. And I would like to dedicate myself to loving God, and I want you to as well. He says it just like that. This little 5-year-old boy, so much courage he has. And where does that courage come from? His courage comes from his deep purity. And I'm very inspired by this, just speaking about this, because it's so difficult to have that kind of confidence. And when Prahlad Maharaj goes to school, all of these demoniac children, all of these atheistic children, children coming from families of demons, not really demoniac in themselves, but these children of atheists are in school. And what does Prahlad Maharaj do? He tells them, hey guys, let's not play right now. Let's sit down and let's talk about spiritual matters. And his friends are like, why should we talk about spiritual matters? Like, let's go play, let's go have fun. And Prahlad Maharaj explains to them all of the teachings, Komarat, Acharat, Pragyo, all of these beautiful teachings that we need to start spiritual life early. And that takes so much courage. I know when I was younger, maybe I had a little bit of courage, not as much courage, to talk about my spiritual life with my peers at school. But now, as I've gotten older, I've tried to find ways to present it in a more relevant way, rather than just as it is. How can I make spirituality relevant? So this I find very inspiring about Prahlad Maharaj. He is confident, he's courageous, and he's an incredible devotee because he's non-duplicit. He is pure in his intent. He knows where he is. He's grounded in his Krishna consciousness. The second quality in a child that I would like to speak about, just checking the time, is they have no idea of ours and theirs. So I wanted to talk about Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj, he saw his father sitting on the throne, and he just wanted to come play with him, a natural tendency of a child. And so he sees his brother sitting, so he comes to play with his father, and Suruchi, his stepmother, immediately tells him, this is not yours, this is not your right. And for Dhruva Maharaj, he's so upset, he's so angry, he feels so surprised to hear this, because he has no idea that my father is someone else's and I belong somewhere else. He thinks, oh, we're all part of one family. So he becomes incredibly upset. And this is a quality of Dhruva Maharaj that we see. I was also thinking about our own children in our CNJ congregation and Yatra. Amritananda Prabhu has so kindly, lovingly engaged them in the service of picking up the shoes and putting them on the shoe rack. And I was seeing the pictures, and I was seeing our little Radha, our Osh, our Hridya, all of these young children. I'm sure I'm missing a few names. All of these young children just picking up other people's shoes. Why? Because they have no idea of ours and theirs. They have no idea, oh, this is someone else's dirty shoes, I shouldn't pick this up. They have been engaged in a service, and they have no idea that this is someone else's, this is me, I'm going to keep to myself. There's no idea like that. And they just do service just like that. And that is such an inspiring thing to see when we see these young kids engaged in a humble service like picking up shoes. It really opens up your eyes how great these souls are that have somehow by other come into our congregations. We're very grateful for them, and very grateful for their parents for instilling this simplicity, this purity within their hearts. Okay, last quality I'd like to talk about is the children have an open mind, and I wanted to speak about our dear Lord Chaitanya as little Nimai. And so we have this very cute picture of Lord Chaitanya playing with a snake in his home. And in general, children are very curious. I'm sure parents of young children will be very, very attuned to this, is their children getting into trouble because they just want to try everything. They want to see the world. And they have this open mind that a snake is seen as a very dangerous, poisonous character. But what does Nimai do? He goes and he plays with it. He plays with it. He treats it as any other living entity because of his curiosity. The curiosity gives him so much courage. And so, of course, hanging out with poisonous characters and association is something we don't want our kids to do. But we can understand from this quality of a child that they have an open mind to understanding the different people and different things in life. They do not judge people. And I think this is also a reason, not only that they're not duplicit, that because children don't judge people based on their appearance, based on them maybe being in a body of a snake, or based on their appearance or based on what they might say or do, because they do not judge and they have this open mind. Children are generally welcome in places, so they can easily preach the glories of the Lord. So these are all the reasons that children make great devotees, and devotees are ones with wonderful childlike natures. So this was a little bit of a deep study, not so deep, deep and brief study on the four Kumaras' childlike nature. If there are any questions, I know it's getting a little late, I can take any reflections. If there are any qualities in children that you also really admire, I would love to hear. Does anyone in this audience have young children and can say that anything I've said is correct? Because I do not have young children, but I've only spoken from Anuman Praman, from watching other children in temples. So anyone who has young children or had young children can say whatever I've said, and whatever I've said, Prabhupada said is correct.
Yes, Surabhi, everything is correct.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope Sachi is doing well.
Yes, thank you so much. She's doing well. I hope you're doing all right. Right, Anandi?
Doing well too. Thank you for asking. All right, if there are no other reflections, then thank you all so much for listening to me. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Surabhi.
Hare Krishna.
My obeisance, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. I found your point very, very significant. My Guru Maharaj says you should be childlike, not childish, childlike. And you said that kids have an open mind. That's why they're not judgmental. That's a very, very powerful point, because keeping an open mind is how one can stop being judgmental. So,
yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for interesting the children in open-minded service. We all are learning from your example.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sundarachal Mataji. I'd like to wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day and weekend ahead. We can fill with festivities. Tomorrow, as part of Govinda's, would be special buffet, Puri style prasad, with Rath Yatra mood around us. We are having this buffet, so we'd like to welcome you all. On Sunday is Ekadasi. There's also in the evening Bahuda Yatra starting at 5 p.m. Sunday Kirtan will be part of the celebrations at the temple. The Ekadasi Kirtan will be part of the celebration at the temple. So it's minimally fasting from grains and beans and increasing our Krishna consciousness. Monday, the Pana time is, let me just tell you, 5:35 to 10:33. So enough time on Monday morning. Our Sunday speaker in the morning, I believe is, yep, that you posted. Let me see if Naman Prabhu has that ready here. Yeah, otherwise we'll be posting the speaker for the Sunday morning class. Apart from that, we don't have any other announcements. We'd like to praise the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Nrsingo, Jai Nrsingo, Jai Jai Nrsingo, Pralade, Shavasya Padmalingam, Ugraviram Mahavikam, Sarvatomukham, Nrsingham, Vishnam Bhadram, Namahamyam. Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Samar Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyam pavane vayo Vaishnave vyo namo namaha.
Vaishnavrinda ki
Jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Hari.
Thank you, Surabhi.
Thank you,
everybody. Hari Bol.
Thank you, everybody.
everybody. Hari Bol.